ruling out the need to screen for these infections, whether they are active or they are something of the past. Okay? Yes, because some persons, by the time you're seeing them, they still have an active, ongoing infection. So you need to treat it. You need to treat it, not just focus on only the consequence of having it, but immediate the bacteria or the whatever virus itself should be attended to. So one thing that we also need to know is that only bacterial infections can be treated and cured. Okay, the infections that are caused by viral agents, HIV, hepatitis, herpes, they do not, even HPV, they do not have any cure. There is no cure for HIV even right now. Oh yes, there's no cure. Yes, there's no cure. So the moment you're infected with HIV, hepatitis, it is like a lifelong infection. And so the only thing you can do is to manage the progression of the condition by using all the medications that slow the progression of the manifestation of symptoms and all the whatnots in the body. Okay, so that's how it is. HIV does not have a cure. The medications that are being used are only meant to, they are used for symptom amelioration and the progress to slow the progression of the virus inside of the body. They slow the replication and all the whatnots that could be happening inside of the body when the person is not taking any medication. So it's only the parasitic and the bacterial agents that cause sexually transmitted infections that can be managed, that can be cured using antibiotics or anti-parasitic agents. Okay, I just thought to just keep that in. I don't know if I answered the question.
Oh, yeah, you did. You did, but I want to ask a question to something that you said. So, if a couple is trying to conceive and they're like, it looks like I maybe had a past infection, what route should they go?
Okay, if they are trying to conceive and it seems as though they have a past infection, and yes, so basically, if we get that information from a history, again, the couple will be screened. They have to be screened to be sure that they do not have any current ongoing infection.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that they had it in the past doesn't mean that they can't have it again, because that is also a myth. Some persons think that because I've had it before, I cannot have it again. No, it's just like the way certain persons will say that if they have a condition, maybe conditions like chicken pox, they had it in the past when they were small, they can't have it again as an adult. This does not apply. This does not apply to sexually transmitted infection. You can have gonorrhea last month and you treated it and it went away, and 3 months later you can go and have intercourse with somebody who's again exposed to the gonorrhea, and you will get reinfected. And the person will get a new infection with the same agent again. Yes, there's nothing like I've become a champion of gonorrhea, so I can't have it again. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but quick question, Dr. Collins. I'm so sorry to cut you.
Yeah,
if
that's
the
fine.
person is infected with gonorrhea and then they treat it, is the person cleansed permanently from that gonorrhea, or are there residue?
Okay, so the thing is that the person is clean, at that particular point, everything gone. Okay. Yes, especially when caught early, when there are no consequences already by, maybe there's no tuberous carry, so there's no, what's the word now? I want to use the word like a consequence any which ways of having that infection. So at that particular moment, it is gone. Okay. At that particular moment, it is gone, especially if they take the medications as prescribed. Because this is also another thing. Tell somebody, take this medication for 14 days, and the person goes to take it for 1 week and tells, I got tired. The moment you get tired, that you develop resistance, and of course, it becomes more and more difficult to manage that same condition even in the future. So it is important that is also emphasized.
You see, that's why I just like to be on the straight and narrow, because anything we concern drug, count me out. I'm not about that life. Okay. What steps can sexually active individuals take to protect their reproductive health? I want to say that they should just not have sex, but what do I know? What can they do to take their reproductive health into their hands and protect themselves?
Well, generally, the steps that are used to actually prevent sexually transmitted infections, usually some people say it's the A, B, and C. In this case now, it's all about abstinence. Okay, so you have to abstain. For people who cannot abstain, then you have to have regular sexually transmitted infection testing or screening. So you have to regularly get screened. That is number one. That's a way. It's like a way of course, preventing it, because
Mhm.
you don't know whether you have it until you've gotten tested. So basically, get tested early. And if anything returns positive, if any of the screenings returns positive, then prompt and early treatment is also key.
Okay.
So again, like we discussed, like I said, regular testing, prompt treatment if found, and of course, preventive measures. Okay, for example, for people who have multiple sexual partners, you should have to engage in barrier methods. In this case, I don't want to use the word contraception, because we're not talking about contraception. We're talking about prevention of infection. So they have to use the barrier method, like the use of condoms. So it is very important. And thankfully, there are both male and female condoms that can be used. That can also help to prevent. Or lastly, you can just stick to one sexual partner. I mean, is this so difficult? Well, I
It's
don't
not so
know.
hard to
So,
ask, right?
all right.
Right.
So just stick to one sexual partner. That helps. Because, I mean, really, if for some reason you stick to one sexual partner, there are two sides to that particular discussion right now. If the woman is faithful to the hobby and the hobby isn't faithful to her, okay, she knows that, okay, this is the only person I'm having sex with. So if I'm having any infection, most likely it's coming from you. That is just like, what do you call it? This forensic investigation. You're already investigating what is going on by yourself. So you already know. So, and this is the benefit of having one sexual partner, because when something happens, you already know that this way is coming from. But if you have multiple sexual partners, you start to be like, we just start to do that, postulations and suspicion, and it doesn't really make any sense. It just complicates the matter.
I mean, we've seen time and time again how a husband infects the wife or the wife infects the husband, either way. And I think what I'm still stuck on is how these symptoms can stay in the body of a woman. So the person that infected me will have obvious sign that that there's something wrong with them. Go ahead and take drugs, treat themselves, but will not tell me that this was happening, and then you're just there suffering. It's wickedness. You can't convince me otherwise that's not wickedness. It is wickedness. And unfortunately, over here, I know that abroad you have some laws against people. It is called a crime if you intentionally infect a person, whether you're a husband or whoever, you are a sexual partner. But regardless, it's just, for me, I'm just like, women, let me beg you, please go and do routine tests regularly. I mean, how often should we do routine tests?
Well, ideally, you should do it twice in a year. Okay, you do it twice in a year. Now, I would just have to use the side of the HIV, for instance. So basically, if you do it now, for some people, usually it's not a confirmatory test. Okay, when you do the very first one, you still have to repeat it. For certain people, they have to repeat it maybe after 3 months, but ideally, just do it twice in a year, your infection screening. Personally, I do screenings twice in a year. I mean, I'm a healthcare practitioner, so I come in contact with, I mean, you can't say somebody has HIV and you won't treat the person, you won't offer services to the person. We have a lot of people who have HIV, hepatitis, syphilis. We have to manage them. And of course, they've gone on to have their own fertility treatment and have gotten pregnant. Okay. Yeah. So basically, oh yes. So, and then we come in contact with them. We do not show any form of bias. And it is, in fact, it is wrong to show any form of bias to anyone who has any sexually transmitted infection, especially the viral ones, HIV, hepatitis, and then you refuse them fertility treatment. So basically, for us as medical practitioners, we get tested routinely. It is just a normal thing. And I am also an advocate for routine sexually transmitted infection testing. I usually preach it to even random people that I meet, like, get tested. I mean, it doesn't, at least you know. A lot of people are scared because when there's one that they're actually scared of, which is the HIV. Remember you mentioned HIV, a lot of people are like, if I look for even unaware of the danger of hepatitis, that the hepatitis is even more dangerous than the HIV. Yeah. Oh, yeah. HIV has a lot of medication that can be used to manage it. But if a person has hepatitis, just like the name just like the name implies, it's a virus that affects the liver. It's a virus that affects the liver. And a lot of people have hepatitis. They just don't know. Or some of them that even know, they don't know the danger of having hepatitis. They're just like, a sample of hepatitis blood in an active stage can remain viable, can remain infectious on the spot you drop it. If I drop it on this table now, this particular spot can become a focus, for the next 3 months. But HIV, a blood sample or any sample bodily fluid with HIV, once it hits UV light, it's gone. It is gone. It's just that we've not been able to, channel that UV light to the body to try
the
to
two
take care of the HIV virus.
Yes, the two diseases that I'm always saying, why don't we have solutions for them, cancer and HIV/AIDS? And I'm always just like, yeah, my conspiracy theory is that there's solution. They're just refusing to sell it because the more you buy this cancer meds and the HIV meds, the more money goes into
Yeah,
the
a lot of
pockets.
people are making money from it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You see, for a condition like Ebola and what's the other one now, COVID-19, that never had any treatment. I mean, this is a part of in fact, it was safe to say that the COVID infection never had any treatment until 2019, when a lot of money was just pumped into research, and then the vaccine came out. Then nobody is doing the same for HIV and some of the other infections that still do not have cure. Because truthfully, just like you said, a lot of companies are making a lot of money from just sponsoring medications to just cater to symptom and slow progression, and that's it. But the cure, the moment you find a cure, everyone subscribes to the cure. In fact, people would have it readily available in their pockets.
Absolutely.
Exactly, and but make any money for the companies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for today's edition. But before we go, what's one key advice that you'd like to give individuals and couples, who are on their journey to fertility and are, they're just concerned, oh, I've not had a kid, What's that one key advice you give to them?
So the one key advice I would have to couples generally is to try to be faithful to your partners. Oh yes, be faithful to your partners. It is very important, because that can just be the step from where things go south. Okay, so when a man is not faithful to his wife, or the wife is not faithful to the husband, of course, there's a risk of having a sexually transmitted infection that ultimately it's just going to play out. It's just going to be like a domino effect. So one falls and then everything so this is just how it is. Okay, from sexually transmitted infection to PID to infertility, and then the couple start to run scatter because they're trying to have a child. It is very important for couples to be faithful to themselves, and for people who are still single, get regularly tested. It is very important. You can't go over to the clinic to do malaria test alone, only when you have malaria. So sometimes you go over there, just check everything while you're doing your malaria typhoid, because some persons are actually that exposed. They come over to the clinic and be like, I want to do malaria typhoid, I just want to check, do my urine, I just want to be sure I don't have diabetes, do blood sugar. Add infection screening, add a sexually transmitted infection screening to that setup. That helps to just give you peace of mind in that regard as touching sexually transmitted infections. So basically, if you protect your reproductive health, okay, you are able to protect the family that would arise from you tomorrow. That is how it is. So protecting your reproductive health today will cater to, the family that will arise from you tomorrow. So these are my final words for today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Collins. I mean, I learned a lot. And if anything, again, I'm pleading to women, please make sure that you do your screening. I don't even know how else to explain that. Like, please, or how to, I don't want to belabor it, but please do your screening. Yes, you trust your partner. Yes, you trust your husband, but you just never know, especially because there are especially if you now have children, can it be passed to children?
Of course, sexually transmitted infection can be passed to children. Oh yes, we've had cases where you see maids transfer maybe hepatitis to a child because they cater to the child. They use the blade that is used to cut their fingers, cut the child's nails also, and again, an abrasion or maybe a cut happens, a laceration, and then the child contacts it. Yes. In fact, this was a recent thing that I saw. I mean, it was really terrible. You can imagine.
No, I know. I mean, it's so important because sometimes people just say, "Oh no, it's not me and my family," but you're not doing the things that you're supposed to do, to avoid not me and my family. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Collins, for coming on the program today. Dr. Collins is an assistant medical director and fertility physician at St. Ives Specialist Hospital in Abeokuta. If you want to get in touch with him, you can do so via the teledoc app. Okay, thank you once again, Dr. Collins, for coming on the program. We truly appreciate it. And we hope that every single person who has listened to us today has taken something and is going to apply it so that we'll know your story in the future. Thank you so much.
For having me. Yeah, bye.
Bye. All right, RadioDoctor is Nigeria's first free consultation for specialized radio health program on Women Radio 91.7, Mondays through Fridays, 10 a.m. Join us tomorrow for another edition of RadioDoctor. Many thanks to Benjamin, many thanks to Aisha Sani, and the executive producer, Tonwiki Wale Shanaya, for today's edition of RadioDoctor. My name is Fumi Bangala. Do have a healthy day.